If you have ever had your game cancelled just a few months after release, or have seen a game you were following get abandoned shortly after you got to know about it, then this is what happens. Today, I'm going to talk about what happens internally in companies when games get cancelled shortly after release, and what's an alternative to keep this thing from happening, hopefully, ever again. So let me talk about the situation. Typically, the way things go, you are working on a game for months or years before anybody gets to see it. A lot of people are working on it in vacuum and usually with very little testing before the game is actually released. So when that happens, the executives or the company or whoever is looking after this project checks to see how profitable that game was after release and how many people are playing it. And if the numbers are not right, well, then the whole thing gets canned. That means the project gets cancelled, all the people who were working on that project get moved to different teams or more likely get laid off, and then any effort that the team put to the game to create it and to ship it is basically gone wasted. Nobody will ever recover that effort, and the know-how will not even stay in the company for the time to come, for years to come. So why is this the worst time to cancel a game? Why is this not an acceptable practice, and why shouldn't we keep doing this? Well, to put it into perspective, let's imagine that you had the sandwich shop and you open your shop and some people come in and the profits are not what you hoped to be. So here most people would do the same thing. They would close the shop and think, it's a bad market, it's a bad location, it's a bad environment, we were unlucky, most people were on vacation, and any other excuse under the sun. While actually, if you take a closer look at that situation, you notice that the location is there. People have already seemed to find the shop, so that doesn't seem to be the issue. People tried the sandwich and maybe it's not perfect, but you didn't ask them why they didn't like it or what they thought of it. And just like that, if the shop closes at that point, then all the effort that was put into finding the location, opening it up, buying the machines, hiring the staff, training them, doing marketing, getting the word out, all this effort basically goes to waste. So it happens very similarly with games as well. And here's why I think that is the worst timing for games to be cancelled. The company already did the investment in the game. You already have the cost of all these people and all the machines and the office space and so on for the people working on the game. So that is not coming back either way, even if you cancel the project. Second is the time. So people have spent so much time working on the game, and the alternative to stopping this project and starting a new one is basically go through that whole thing again. Still take as much time to develop a new game, do as many tests, and basically do the entire process again. And finally, when that game is released, let's say that it has some problems, and that is the reason why it's not performing as well as everybody hopes. Well, who do you think is best equipped to deal with these problems? Some new person canceling the whole thing and working on something else, or having the team that actually developed the game keep working on the game to fix it? They already know how everything works. They were the same people who created the game to begin with, and they are the ultimate specialists in the world for this particular game. So if they can see what the issues with the game are, or they can go through the process of discovering them, there is at that moment nobody better in the whole world to fix that game. And keep in mind here that the alternative is, yes, sure, canceling the game and stopping the money lost there, but most likely the way it happens in most companies, for most people, the same cycle is going to repeat again. The company will select a new person to recommend a project, they will start gathering the team, they will start building the game, and they will head out for a new release. So the argument that, well, we're losing too much money on this, so we should stop, doesn't make a lot of sense. Unless the company is truly on its last dime, then most likely they will going to repeat this cycle anyway. So from a money perspective, it's way cheaper to fix an existing game with specialists in that game already in the company having the know-how than have this whole cycle repeat again with not really any better chance of success immediately available. So what is a way to understand this approach and to use it rather than throw away all the effort, money, and time that went to the existing project? Well, the first way to approach this would be to simply have the team work on the game on the issues they already know the players face. They already know the game and they already can see on forums and review videos and so on what most people are struggling with. And already some people found the game, and even if it's not hundreds of thousands of people, even having 10 people play the game and gather analytics on that and if possible ask them their opinion on the game is extremely valuable information, especially around launch. So that is basically the starting seed of working on all the things that need to be fixed to make the game amazing. And I'm sure as a player you've seen that happen as well, where you find this new game, it was just released, it looks great, there's not many bugs with the game, but there's a couple of gameplay issues that really take the fun out of it. Or the game looks beautiful, but it plays boring, so you think, if this game had a couple more skills and a couple more dungeons to do, I would bother, but it's too simple for me, or it's not engaging enough. So that kind of puts into perspective why that is the worst timing to cancel a project, because essentially you're 2 inches from gold, right? All you need to do is fix a short list of issues, which yes will be costly, but it's going to be not at all in the same universe as starting a new project and paying for that from scratch and reassembling the team and doing all that. So that's level 1 approach of trying to salvage what's there, and more than salvaging it is just continue development on its intended course. Let the team see through and let them put together this dream state of the game as they intended it to be back in the beginning, because they are the ultimate specialists to do that. Now the level 2 of this is before release happens or before even development happens, have somewhere in the planning of the game that at least, 6 months, maybe 1 year of closely followed period after the game's release where all these things are supposed to happen. So in a sense, expect that on release, nothing will be perfect. Expect that people will like some of the game and they will hate another part of the game. This happens basically for every game out there. So if you can factor that into the planning of the game itself and you expect it, then you're very well equipped to handle the situation. And here I'm not talking about a beta release or a soft release or a test release or anything like that. I'm talking about the actual release of the game. So the public, full-on, this is it kind of release of the game. That's only when people are going to play the game for real. They will take it seriously and they will be serious with their feedback as well. They won't think, oh, this is just a test game or it's just early access, so whatever. That's when they will evaluate for real. And here you might be wondering, well, okay, let's say you do all this and you give the team extra time, or you are in that team that gets the extra time. How long should you take to quote unquote fix the game? How long should this process continue? Or if you are on the management side, what do we do in this plan? Do we just keep paying people for years with no results? Do we pay the team, I don't know, 10 or $100 million a year with not even $1 million in profit for that year? Does it make sense? Well, no, that doesn't make sense, and that's a big waste to make. I don't know of many game companies that can shoulder this burden long term. But the metric you want to be looking at here, I think, is the team making meaningful progress towards the goal? Here, up to here rather, this is a very commonly said thing in the games industry, how you follow these metrics and what you do with them. But there is something that's never said, and this is, did you talk to the players? I know it's very pedestrian, I know it's very obvious, I know it's not scientific at all, and it doesn't have metrics and all these things, but what very often happens during development is the team essentially only talks to itself. We only talk to each other internally. Usually that's because of NDA, but there can be other reasons as well. So the opinions of people inside the company are great and all, but at some point you will have to see what people outside of the company who are not paid to play the game, they're not your friends, they're not your family, they're not your dad who thinks you're great and everything you make is perfect. We want to hear the truth. We want to hear what people who care nothing about this game and they have, let's say, no horse in this race, actually think about it. What they found confusing, what they found difficult, what they struggled with when they tried to play the game, actually. And that is the real feedback that needs to be acted on. If there's some catastrophic bug, then yes, of course, if that makes the game crash all the time, that's definitely something you can pick up with analytics and you can work on. But other than that, it's usually small, everyday, logical things that keep most games from having this amazing success. And the reason why I mentioned the sandwich example before is because restaurants are somehow in the same kind of situation where, you know, location, yes, is important, and quality of chairs and tables and ingredients, yes, is important. But most businesses get to that point eventually. They know that if your restaurant doesn't look great, not many people will want to come in, which is the equivalent for games of graphics and stability and all that stuff. But the more nuanced things, the experience and how people feel when they engage with the product is the secret we want to unlock here. And it's very hard to analyze it perfectly with analytics or metrics and so on, but it's very easy to find out when you actually talk to people as a person. So what did you struggle with? What made you want to quit? You know, what did you enjoy about the game? What's the thing you just can't stomach about this game? What if you could make the game the perfect game for you, what would you change about it? Qualitative questions like that, although not perfect, when you collect enough answers in this kind of investigation, you have a really good idea about what people care about and what the top candidates are for what to work on next. Anyway, that's my experience and my approach to this. I hope this improves the game, the fate rather, of at least one other game out there. And thank you so much for watching, as always, and have fun.